What happened to your client base, number of clients, typical average fee? Did things get better on that front?
Yeah. The client base we had going back pre-being AVN members was a real mixed bag. There were some very good clients in there. There was ones that weren't so good, that we weren't charging enough to, that we didn't have proper recovery on, and they tended to be the ones who never paid us anyway. So we fairly quickly, I would say, we increased our turnover by about 70–80% within 2 or 3 years, and this was pre having the AVN tax planning tools back in the early days as well. But it wasn't just about turnover, it was about profitability. I mean, the profitability from 9 years at the start, I'm thinking of the number, and what it was when I left, effectively a year ago, had increased 600%. Yeah, it was 6 times what it was. And we focused, in our own business plan, we started focusing not so much on turnover, it was about profit. Because as we got more, where appropriate, into value pricing for incorporations, for example, it was more about profit and the return on our input of time as opposed to pure billable hours. Yes, we still kept timesheets, yes, we did do fixed price agreements, yes, we did monitor our write-offs and our recoverability because that was right for us to do at the time. We went from, say, every new client that we used to get coming in through the door, we found that the first year's fee, that we'd sort of gone like that, before we'd even started to prepare their first year's accounts and tax returns, the first year's fee had been used up. Because we'd had an initial meeting and a few more meetings, because we had to then sort out about doing all the paperwork for the revenue and VAT registration and helping them set up a bookkeeping system, and oh god, then they needed to go and see a bank and maybe get some finance, and then they had queries, and so by the time you got to the end of the first year, you had no money in the pot left to service them. So we'd work on the basis, oh, it's all right, we'll claw it back next year. I mean, what rubbish, absolute rubbish. I'm not talking about the incorporation tax planner here, that's relevant in some cases, but just even something as basic as the incorporation tax service sheets, all of a sudden, it enabled us, we were getting full recovery on that first year's setup time, before we got to the end of the first year of them actually needing any compliance work done, and when we got to that point, there was a natural break point to say, right, now you've been in business coming up for a year, at the pre-year and tax planning meeting, we need to quote you for doing your first year's worth of accounts and tax returns. Because when you think about it, what madness. If a new client setup comes in through the door, you don't know, you haven't got a crystal ball, you don't know if their business is going to go like that in the first year, if it's going to teeter along like that. So how can you possibly quote a fee? And the beauty of those, I'm only taking that one tiny little thing out of the Pandora's box. The beauty of that little system was it could very easily be delivered by some of our team members who looked after clients. It wasn't dependent on the partners. So it got to the point, a lot of those kind of low risk, not particularly exciting clients for the first year or two, they could be dealt with somebody other than the partner and free up the partner time. So it was a win-win situation. That was like a very, very small thing. I've digressed a little bit. So
I think I'm right in saying that the practice then introduced a minimum fee and started...
Oh, we did, yeah. I've spoken to some of you about this today. I was 29 when I bought out from the sole practitioner, and I remember at that stage in my life feeling very... I was just flattered if anybody even wanted me to act with them. Somebody said, oh, can you quote for doing this? And then I think the fee, and if they said yes, I think, I was just so relieved that somebody actually wanted to be a client. I was the one who felt honoured. So needless to say, the boat started filling up with a lot of poor type clients. And the starting point, post-joining AVM, was actually thinking, hang on a second, where is this business going? Where is Landers going? What do we want? And we even started, we used sort of a one-page plan, which that you get, it's in a full member, don't you? on ourselves to work out from the bottom, like, you know, what do I as a partner want to be drawing as income? You know, how many days a week or hours do I want to work? And then work back up. How am I going to make the practice do that for me? How's it going to deliver it for me? And how long do I want to be doing it for? What's my exit point? Ironically, we'd set it at 50, so I did manage to retire 8 years ahead of the game. But, and I do remember 9-10 years ago when we went to an ABN recruitment masterclass like this, I wrote on a piece of paper that I wanted to be out at 40. I got out at 41, so it's okay. Slightly for circumstances. So the beauty of having that kind of system in place just made it a lot easier. Made it a lot easier as a starting point.
I've asked my questions. Now it's your turn.